Kalonzo Musyoka is a bitter man. The former vice president yesterday attended the Madaraka Day celebration at Uhuru Gardens, and he is lamenting that there were no special arrangements for other leaders like him except those who support Kenya Kwanza government. And Kalonzo says that there was no any invitation from the government to the other leaders who do not support Kenya Kwanza. Neither, he says, are there or were there chairs made special arrangements for such leaders. He attended that occasion and he was left to sit at the periphery. It took the intervention of Sylvanus Osoro to remind President Ruto that Kalonzo was in their midst. Because when Ruto arrived and he was greeting the leaders of Kenya Kwanza, he was not even aware that Kalonzo Musyoka was among them. And so this has left Kalonzo lamenting very bitterly about the Kenya Kwanza government. To make it worse, Kalonzo says that neither the deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, or the president himself, William Samoei Ruto, recognized him when they took turn to address the nation. And Kalonzo says that that was the height of humiliation in front of all Kenyans, in front of all the leaders, in front of all the guests, including ambassadors. He says that as a former vice president of this country, he deserves respect. And I want to ask you, ladies and gentlemen, do you think Kalonzo has a point? Do you think he's got a right to complain? Before we delve into the Kalonzo and the Kenya Kwanza war of words, if you're watching our videos or this channel for the first time, kindly take a moment and subscribe. Don't forget to click the notification bell so that anytime we do a video like this, YouTube will definitely notify you. And to all those returning subscribers, thank you very much. Kindly like this video and share it if you can. I understand that yesterday's occasion was a national event. And at some point, I want to agree with Kalonzo because a Mashujaa Day celebration is not a party affair. And so the Ruto government must have known that that was not a party affair. They should separate perhaps party politics and a national occasion. But I want us to look at perhaps reasons why William Ruto decided to give Kalonzo a wild berth. Because as usual, you all understand that in politics, nothing happens just out of mere coincidence. There's nothing that happens by chance. Everything has a reason, and mostly everything that happens in politics is geared towards achieving some political goal or political purpose. I want to believe that William Ruto, our president, and his deputy did not forget to recognize Kalonzo Musyoka. They did it very intentionally. William had said, and they had made it very clear, that they did not want, or they do not want, a repeat of what happened in the previous regime, where the opposition, they claim, joined the government, and therefore it looked amorphous. You could not tell who the president, the government was, or who the opposition was. And in this, he was referring to Raila, who shook hands with the former president, Uhuru Kenyatta.
We have accepted that we are not going to appoint any member of the opposition into government because we want a vibrant opposition. We want an opposition that will keep government in check because we have nothing to hide and we want an accountable, to run an accountable government. So we appreciate their role. We wish them well in their role, but we will play our role as effectively as we can. And members.
And he says that in that marriage, he was really frustrated as a deputy president. And he says that he does not want such a thing to happen again. And that could inform the reason why they decided to humiliate Kalonzo. Because they knew very well Kalonzo was there. Even if he was not invited, they had been reminded of his presence. The organizers of the Mashujaa Day celebration did not want the opposition to be there. Because normally what happens, there would be some seats preserved for them even if they will not attend. You will see, for example, a seat for Raila Odinga, Kalonzo, and Martha Karua, maybe people like Peter Kenneth. The, their competitors, as William Ruto usually refers to them. But nothing of that kind happened. That means they did not want the opposition. Just the other day, you remember, Raila Odinga went into the streets of Nairobi and started asking Kenyans whether the promises that William Ruto gave have started trickling, whether they are signs that perhaps the prices of basic commodities would come down. This angered William Ruto, and they vehemently complained that the opposition should give them time. They are still very young into the government. They have proper plans to make things work in this country. So the Ruto government knows very well that if they recognize or if they bring in the opposition, if anything good happens to the government, then it will be misconstrued that the Ruto government has been overwhelmed. Because as we speak, the Hustler Nation is crying fall. Because even on that day or yesterday, William Ruto still pleaded with the Hustler Nation to be patient. He said that very soon things are going to work out. Promises that include the establishment of Hustler Fund. So they do not want any opposition around them, lest people give the opposition credit for whatever good that happens in the government. The Ruto government also understands that they are at a very critical moment where every other leader who comes to them would want to have a fair share of the national cake. But even as it is, that cake is not enough for them. The other day, our deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, said that they will be rewarding people on a first come, first serve. That those who joined Kenya Kwanza first will be given first priority. Not only that, if you came to Kenya Kwanza and delivered, and they have always given an example of Moses Masika Wetangula, who delivered votes from Bungoma and was rewarded with the Speaker of the National Assembly. They note that those who came late will get leftovers. Even in the nominees to the cabinet secretaries, you realize that people like Sonko have not gotten anything. Asan Sarai have not gotten anything. There are people who you thought Ruto would consider. But as it is, you realize that it is a very complicated matter. They do not know who should be there. There are very many people who are still left out. And so Ruto realized that if Kalonzo would come to such an occasion, maybe he's got other things in mind. He will soon request for a job, for example, to be given that peacekeeping job. There was I think in the previous regime, Kalonzo had a job. He used to go to Sudan or Congo for some peacekeeping, and maybe he thought Kalonzo would want that. Yet this job can be given to someone else. Ruto has very many people who supported him, who delivered votes, who supported him financially. And so they were trying to give Kalonzo this uh, white bath so that he knows very well that he's not wanted in Kenya Kwanza. I also think that they just wanted to humiliate Kalonzo. And they were doing this on behalf of Kalonzo represented the Azimio. Individually and collectively, William Ruto would want to show the opposition that he's the man. William Ruto claims that he suffered a lot of humiliation in the previous government, yet he was the deputy president. And so when he was trying to reorganize himself to become the president, he really pleaded with Kalonzo Musyoka. At some point, he sent even Jimmy Wanjigi to try and either persuade Kalonzo to go and contest alone or join him. But this did not happen. In fact, Gideon Moi stood very firm and told off Jimmy Wanjigi. And so William thinks or feels that he needed Kalonzo. When he needed Kalonzo the most, Kalonzo abandoned him. And so when now Kalonzo thinks that he also needs him, he wants to abandon Kalonzo and show him that this is a situation where you scratch my back, I scratch your back. Ruto understands very well that for Kalonzo to come to that such an auspicious occasion, perhaps he was sent by Raila to test waters, and he did not want to take chances. He does not know what is at the back of their mind. The other thing that he understands, if he welcomes Kalonzo at this moment, the people of Mount Kenya would start crying foul. I remember the other time when the former president Uhuru Kenyatta shook hands with the former prime minister Raila Odinga, there was a lot of onslaught. In fact, William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua, then aspirants or campaigning to become the leaders of this country, accused Mr. Kenyatta of neglecting them, yet they voted for him. In fact, they said that Mr. Kenyatta engaged in a lot of development projects, taking them to Nyanza and forgetting the people who voted for him in Mount Kenya. They sold this narrative so much that it sank in the electorates. And in fact, this is part of the reason why William Ruto swept all the leadership of Mount Kenya. He got, in fact, he painted it yellow. UDA got everything from the MCA to the topmost presidency, except for Kawira, who became, I think, Meru governor as an independent candidate. And I think Kawira is also on her way out, courtesy of William Ruto. So William Ruto does not want a situation where they start being at loggerheads with the people who voted for him. There will be such a time when he will look for Kalonzo, but not now. Because even if Kalonzo would come to Kenya Kwanza today, or if they would join hands, there is nothing that Kalonzo will bring. Kalonzo would have brought more votes in the elections, but Kalonzo locked Ruto completely from Cumberland. Kalonzo got all the governors against Ruto candidates. And so even if Kalonzo would come today, Ruto knows very well that it's not going to add any value. And this is the reason why they decided to humiliate William Ruto. Whether this was right, I don't know. Either it was right politically, but it was wrong morally. Ladies and gentlemen, that is just my thought. I don't know what you think. You can always interact in the